الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So in continuing discussing a book that is authored by Al-Hafiz Ibn Rajab Al-Hanbali rahimahullah, that he wrote a book that is titled Bayan Fadl Ilm Salaf ala Ilm Al-Khalaf, which this book that based upon its title is to discuss the virtue of the ilm of the Salaf over that of those who came after them, Al-Khalaf. So we had started discussing this book as within those books I discussed the virtue of knowledge and also the method in how one should go about seeking knowledge in a way which should be beneficial and also the proper way in seeking of knowledge. So Ibn Rajab rahimahullah, he discussed in this book, we have covered regarding matters relating the virtue of knowledge and the importance of knowledge and also the people of knowledge and also discuss, as he mentioned, ilm غير نافع, knowledge that is considered to be not beneficial, of those that are said to be haram, and those that is beneficial, but also the person not going overboard in those particular field. Then now we discuss concerning of those knowledge that have been somewhat added to Islam or to the science of Islam, that is initially not of those science, but have been introduced as a part of the science and have corrupted those science to some degree of included things that in reality not a part of al-ilm. So in discussing, I'll give you some example regarding some of those knowledge. So we'll pick up from where we had stopped in the last lesson regarding of those knowledges or of those things that have been included in the field of knowledge that in actuality it is not. Aywa.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. Discussing al-Qadr. From amongst these sciences are those innovated by the Mu'tazila in their discussion of Qadr and setting up analogies for Allah, while a clear prohibition has been mentioned against delving into Qadr.
So the matter regarding of those knowledge they mentioned that I've introduced regarding the matter of the approach of the Mu'tazila. So is knowing the approach of the Mu'tazila, where they somewhat of those groups that are deviated, that they give importance to one reasoning over that of a knuckle. So they put they emphasize human reasoning over that of text, and if there seems, according to them, that there seems to be a conflict, then they'll give precedent to human reasoning over that of the text. And by this they kind of somewhat start to reject a lot of matters that are clear. Aywa.
Ibn Hibban and Hakim recorded a hadith of Ibn Abbas that the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "This nation shall always remain steadfast and balanced so long as they do not discuss the final destination of children and divine decree."
So they mentioned regarding this hadith that they have mentioned regarding concerning the hadith in the Ibn Hibban wal Hakim that discuss regarding that this ummah remain steadfast or remain balanced or together if they do not enter into certain matter. They mention يتكلمون fi wildan wal qadar. So of those things that we have been cautioned not to go over the top in those matters of discussion, those matters that are not in line with text, then will fall astray. So they mention wildan, and wildan they intend regarding matter that relates to the ahkam that relates to atfal al-mushrikeen. So the matters regarding wildan is the matter relating to the children or the babies or infants of the mushrikeen who have died as infant. What's their fate in the next life? So what's the fate of the children of the mushrikeen, the non-Muslim kids, children who have died? What will be their fate in the akhirah? And also I mentioned al-qadr. Also they state matter regarding al-qadr. They mentioned that hadith have some discussion regarding hadith, but of the contemporary Sheikh Albani, he owed this hadith to be authentic. Aywa.
This has also been reported as a statement of Ibn Abbas only, and some declared this to be the stronger case.
So that Ibn Rajab rahimahullah is more inclined toward the view that this athar or this statement that he mentioned marfu, going back to the Prophet of Islam, that it is actually a statement of Ibn Abbas, not the statement of the Prophet of Islam. So it's more Ibn Rajab rahimahullah more in line with it is the statement of Ibn Abbas and not of the Prophet of Islam. We mentioned that Shaykh Albani rahimahullah of those who authenticated. Aywa.
Bayhaqi recalls the hadith of Ibn Mas'ud that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, when my companions are mentioned, refrain, and when the stars are mentioned, refrain also. This has been reported by a number of routes, all of the isnads being problematic.
It indicated all those isnad regarding this hadith, it is weak. So it have many narrations of this hadith, different turuq or isnad asanid that narrate this hadith, but all of them are questionable. All of them are da'if. Mentioned maqal, meaning they're all weak narrations. The next matter regarding do those hadith, because of the weakness that they all have, do they strengthen each other? Then that's a discussion between the ulama. And you find of contemporary Shaykh Albani, all these narrations, when they're added together, that they give strength. So the hadith for him would be somewhat acceptable, even though that others may not share that view because all the narrations are weak. Aywa.
It is reported that Ibn Abbas said to Maymun ibn Mihram, beware of researching into the stars, for they effectuate fortune telling. Beware of researching into the divine decree, for this effectuates heresy. Beware of abusing any of the companions of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, for Allah would throw you face first into the fire. Abu Nu'aym also reports this statement of the Prophet, this as a statement of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, but it is not authentic.
So I mentioned regarding concerning this hadith or this athar, it is an Ibn Abbas that has stated with some caution regarding certain matters. As for this being a hadith upon the Prophet ﷺ, that is not correct or it's not authentic. So it's more a statement of Ibn Abbas anhu that can somewhat give certain caution regarding certain things, and they show the insight of the ulama. They show concern that the insight of the ulama that regarding the mention iyak wa nadhar fi nujum fa innaha tad'u ila kahana. So he state regarding that be mindful regarding a person looking into the matter regarding of the stars, as he fear that can lead the person to fall into kahana, which is fortune telling or and the likes. And also iyak wal qadar fa innahu tad'u ila zandaqa, and also for the person who delve into these matters with excessiveness regarding al-qadar, then can lead the person to a zandaqa, with a form of the person falling into hypocrisy and the likes. So it shows regarding that of these things that the person who may delve in certain topics, that they have to be cautious as this can lead to other things. This can lead to other things, and we have seen this throughout the history. We have seen an issue with some people have delve into certain matters, and it was the reason for their misguidance, where they started to reject things and start to have doubt about Islam. So it shows regarding that of this, the consequence that delving into certain things, that what it can lead to, especially regarding Islamic science and not approaching things correctly. Aywa.
The prohibition of delving into the divine decrees encompasses a number of matters. 1. Using parts of the book to contradict other parts, such that the one who affirms the divine decree quote a particular verse, while the one who denies it quotes another verse, and they start quarreling. It is reported that such an event happened during the time of the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, whereupon he became angry and prohibited it. Such matters are to be considered as disputing about the Quran, and this has been prohibited.
So of those things that he cautioned regarding concern of those things that want to be mindful of regarding in approaching of knowledge, and of that is manhi, that is forbidden, is regarding concerning the person that make it seem as if the Quran, it contradicts other parts of the Quran. So it seems as if the Quran or the text of Islam is contradicting each other. So as we all know as we all should understand that the Quran and the Sunnah, they never contradict. As for a person having not being able to reconcile certain texts, is that from our weakness, and that's not with everyone. That the ulama usually can clarify those matters, but the person who's a beginner, the person who's not very sound in his knowledge, that he may believe or see that certain texts is contradicting each other, and that's not the case. And also for the person not having that idea that the Quran or the Sunnah, that they contradict each other, but reality that they can be reconciled together and give clarity. But when the person, so that's, and also the Salaf al-Bidah, that they use one verse to challenge another verse, or one hadith to challenge another hadith, then that's a sign of al-bidah. That's a sign of the person who's upon al-bidah. What dalal? Aywa.
Discussing the divine decree either by way of affirmation or negation, by rationalizing and employing logical arguments. This is exemplified by the saying of the Qadariyah, were Allah to decree everything and then punish people, he would be unjust and oppressive. And the saying of the diametric opposite, Allah has coerced the servants into performing their actions and the likes.
أيوة.
Number 3, delving into the workings of the divine decree, the prohibition of which has been reported from Ali and others from amongst the Salaf. This is because the servants will never be able to understand its true reality.
So matter regarding, after that they mentioned al-khawr fi al-sir, al-qadr, regarding a person delving into matter regarding the sir of al-qadr, the divine decree regarding al-qadr. Then is matters regarding qadr, that the person that he stopped with the text. So regarding concern these matters regarding al-qadr, matters of the things of the unseen, then a person, he doesn't go beyond the text. So we stop where the texts are, and we don't per se delve into matter that are not mentioned in the text. If the person opened those doors regarding delve into matter that are not mentioned by way of the text, then the person, especially regarding these matters of the unseen, then the person most likely will fall into misguidance. So of the things, be cautious regarding opening the doors of discussing matters of the unseen without text. Aywa.
Discussing the that of Allah. Linked to this is the innovation quoted by the Mu'tazila and those who traverse their path. In their discussion of the essence, that of Allah, exalted is He and His attributes through the medium of rationalization. This is of a greater danger than delving into the divine decree, because discussing the divine decree is to discuss the actions of Allah, whereas here one is discussing His very essence and attributes. This group is divided into 2 categories.
And you find that also these matters regarding a person opening the door or delve into matters that one should not, and going excessive in those matters. Of those matters regarding an-niyah. So at times you have a person might try to discuss a matter, but the focus is on the person's intention, and those matters is of the unseen. So we look as for judging of matters of individual, it is based upon what is their apparent action. As for the person's intention, those matters go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So a person might carry out an act. The person's intention might be valid, might be have a genuine intention in what he's doing. But as for the act that have been carried out, then that act was not done wrong. So we criticize the act. As for the intention between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So and it doesn't, and the person having a good intention doesn't justify the person that we accept their errors. So a person might have a good intention, but the act that have been manifest, then that act is contrary to the Sunnah, contrary to Islam. So reject the action, and his intention go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you'll find that in today's time, so I said al-qadr, of those things that they mentioned, and niyyah, try to kind of somewhat to scrutinize people's intention. So you find that the people who does of this, when a person unable to attack the person regarding in a proper manner, then they try to attack you in that sly manner, which is they start to question your intention. Think of the unseen. Then also you find a way that also our issue that also people fall into error in is a matter regarding referred to today concerning muwazana. So muwazana is a matter where that a person that he says certain things that are incorrect, but also he has something which is correct. So you try to, in trying to be just, you try to make that balance. The thing that he's right on, we agree with him. The thing that he's not right upon, we disagree with him. But you still praise that person, and the person have clear, the thing that he falls into error are clear bidah, that are outrageous. But you still kind of somewhat would praise that person. You still recommend that person. You still work with that person. When you're the person have crossed certain boundary, maybe 10 masail, but they're serious matters, that at that point you need to draw a line. Or aqall shay tawaqquf. You can somewhat take a position of that to halt your relationship with that person until certain things have been clarified. So this thing of muwazana can somewhat try to weigh up the person good and evil deeds regarding concerning al-bidah wal khurafat. We judge, the judgment is based upon what is apparent. If those errors are severe errors, then at some point you have to, as they say, you have to cut off from that person and warn the people of that person's error. But you cannot try to, he have some errors, I disagree with him, but he's still a good brother, look what he's doing, he's feeding the people, but he's saying that this is halal and this is haram, which is completely contrary to Islam. Then you have to draw a line. And some of the what, sometimes they fall into this. Sometimes they fall into this, where a person sometimes claim that he's Salafi. but the thing that you're saying is not Salafi. It doesn't go in line with the Salafi da'wah. So that person says, not what you claim is what you do and what you say. That's the thing that you measure with. So, as we mentioned, this case of concern mawazana, that is somewhat widespread amongst many. Now, especially concerning, it says many, spread widespread amongst many. Aywa.
This group is divided into two categories. The first, those who negate much of what is reported in the book and the sunnah concerning the attributes due to the implication, in their view, of a likeness between the creation and the creator. From amongst these are the Mu'tazila, who said, if he can be seen, he must be a body because one requires a direction in which to see. If his speech can be heard, he must be a body. Those who negated his istawa, they did so by means of the same reasoning. This is the path of the Mu'tazila and the Jahmiyyah, about whom the Salaf were agreed as to their being innovators and misguided. This path of theirs has been traversed in some matters by many of those who are attributed to the Sunnah and Hadith amongst the latter generations.
So you mentioned regarding of those who mentioned ينقسم هؤلاء إلى قسمين, that of those that he discussed in the effort there, they are categorized into two categories. So you mentioned regarding the first, من نفى كثير مما ورد به الكتاب والسنة. So I think that من ذلك, a person who mentioned, the person who negates or reject things, well-established things that are from the Quran, the Sunnah, then either you find that in those cases of the thing that takes a person away from either Sunnah and class of the people Sunnah, because of the person having excessive rejection or mukhalafat, opposition to things that are established in the Quran, the Sunnah. So you find that a person that find many things, he's rejecting, he's opposing, he's saying something contrary, and these things are becoming that they are piling up, then that's a sign that a person is not from Ahl Sunnah. And the person is deviating from Ahl Sunnah where things are agreed upon, but the person is contradicting these things, then that's a sign that that person is off. That's a sign that a person is off. Aywa. So they mentioned regarding concerning also for a person, I said that's فهذا طريق المعتزلة والجهمية قد اتفق السلف على تبديئهم وتدليلهم. That regarding concerning that, a person, for example, will say today that certain group of Ahl Bidah, where the ulama of Ahl Sunnah agree upon them being from people of Dalal, and then a person has said that's not the case. For a person to say that's not the case, and they might see different, and there's a different view from whom. So you have groups like they mentioned, the Mu'tazila, the Salaf agree upon those people being upon misguidance, as mentioned here, and pass hukum upon them, and also the Jahmiyyah, even Jahmiyyah of the ulama who pass takfir upon the Jahmiyyah. And then in contemporary times, or after you find the likes of the Asha'ira, that those who claim to follow Abu Hasan al-Ash'ari, but so you have those groups that are more prevalent in our times. We're going to concern Asha'ira, and also you find regarding Al-Maturidiyya, so you find amongst the Arabs, regarding their way of, in their belief, they're more in line with what is called Asha'ira. So you find that certain institute, like in certain parts of the Muslim country, that under that influence of the Asha'ira. And then you find from the Asian side, that they are on the more of the, they call them the Ahnaf, the more of the Maturidiyya, more inclined in matters concerning belief. That those groups of ulama have clarified regarding their misguidance, not just in Ash'ari and Asma wa Sifat, but in other matters. So matters regarding the Ash'ari, the Maturidiyya, their deviation is not just matter regarding Asma wa Sifat, but also matters regarding Al-Qadr, matters regarding Iman, and these matters. And you find that in those groups amongst the Mu'tazila and the Sha'ira, that you find that also embedded in them is many people that say Tasawwuf is also widespread amongst them. Tasawwuf, Sufism is widespread amongst them, and deviation in general. So, as we said, for a person to affiliate to them, then a person is upon error, serious error. To affiliate oneself to Asha'ira, to affiliate oneself to Maturidiyya, then that the person is in serious error or on the path of error. Because in most cases, that person may not either not understanding, or if they understand it, then Allah Mustan. If they understand, Allah Mustan. And if they understand, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide them. And so that's concerning so of those things regarding the deviated group. One have to be, can someone to not be mindful of them as they still exist. أيوة تفضل.
The second, those who wish to affirm the attributes via logical rationalization that are not mentioned in the narrations, and through these they refuted the stances of the first group. Example of this lie with Muqatil ibn Sulaiman and those who followed him.
So Muqatil ibn Sulaiman is one of the ulama of the tafsir. So Muqatil ibn Sulaiman, that he died 150 al-Hijri. He died 150 Hijri. That's the time that he died. And he's of those concerns, like of the tafsir that we have, explanation of the Quran incomplete. He's one of the oldest one that we have incomplete. You have others that are on the same time that have died of him, but their tafsir is not complete. But his is complete. Now, the ulama criticize Muqatil ibn Sulaiman that his tafsir wasn't of the established way during that time, which he didn't mention asanid. So in the tafsir, so during that time, and when books started to be written, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th century of Islam, that books were written with isnad. That was the established practice. So you find books in hadith, books in tafsir, books in aqidah, and other books in tariq, that they will have what? Isnad. That was the established practice. Then Muqatil ibn Sulaiman, that when he wrote his books in tafsir, I would say the book is published today, is without isnad. So the ulama, they criticize him for this. But also regarding concerning that, so of those books, so that's concerning, أيوة تفضل.
Now, Muqatil ibn Sulaiman and those who followed him, such as Nuh ibn Abu Maryam, these were in turn followed by a group of the muhaddithin of the past and present. This is also the way of the Karamiya. From amongst these were those who affirmed a body for Allah, either in meaning or wording, as an outcome of their affirming His attributes. Others from amongst them affirm the attributes for Allah that have not been mentioned in the book and the Sunnah, such as movement, which they believe to be necessary outcomes of His attributes that have been established.
So you find out of these groups, he mentioned regarding of these groups that he mentioned that they fall into those who have deviated. They fall into two categories. The one regarding certain matters, that those who go over the top regarding that those ones who nafi kathir mimma wara fi kitab wa sunnah, by way of things that relates to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, matters of aqidah. So you have those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in matters of asma wa sifat, they're the ones they're always negating. From the Ja'miyah and the Mu'tazila, that they negate matters relating to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, names and attributes. And so those ones are known for that, following that path, and they also the ones who went over the top. Then you have their opposition, and sometimes the opposition, the one who concerned al-ithbat, who tried to attribute to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or to affirm to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of His name and attribute, they went over the top, where they were a response to the first group. They were a response to the first group. So the ones who came after, you find that the Asha'ira and the likes, they were a response to the people who came before them. But they went to an next extent, right? Where they kind of somewhat, and so in this case they mentioned of those regarding affirming to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they start to affirm to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thing that He didn't affirm to Himself, al-haraka. So that's going because there's no text for this. But what they extract from the text. So if it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala nuzul, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can descend, then that means there's some type of what? According to them, movements. So they start to affirm things that there's no text for, based upon their logic. So you find that also deviation, it comes in a subtle way. So you find concern is not of those, and you find that in most cases regarding deviation is either due to excessiveness, to the right, as they say, in affirming things, or excessiveness in negating things. That's how it comes. So those things are said of old, and all those who they attribute themselves to Ahlul Sunnah. All those who they attribute themselves to Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. But that's not the case. Aywa.
The Salaf refuted the manner employed by Muqatil in his refutation of Al-Jahm and they went to great lengths in censoring him to the extent that some of them considered it lawful to kill him. Amongst these was Makki ibn Ibrahim, the teacher of Bukhari.
So you find that some of the ulama sometimes can be a bit stern, based upon how they assess things during their time. And the purpose regarding concern is to stop this deviation and certain ideas being spread. So the Mashaykh of Imam Bukhari rahimahullah, that they were somewhat very stern against Muqatil due to the approach and the way that he tried to refute those who deviated, where he himself also went out of line. So sometimes refuting others, there's guidelines to be followed. If you do not follow them, then also your method of refuting become unaccepted. Shar'an. Aywa.
The correct position in all of this is the position of the righteous Salaf in their leaving the verses and the hadith concerning the attributes as they came without explanation, asking how or liking them to creation. There is nothing at all contravening this position that is authentically reported from them, especially Imam Ahmed. Neither is anything reported from them proving that they probed into their meanings or propounded analogies and similitudes for them. This, even though there were some who lived close to the time of Ahmed who did do some of this, following the way laid out of Muqatil, but they are not to be followed in this. Those who should be followed are the Imams of Islam, such as Ibn al-Mubarak, Malik, Thawri, al-Awza'i, Shafi'i, Ahmad, Ishaq, Abu Ubaid, and the likes.
So here author rahimahullah, which is Ibn Rajab rahimahullah, now clarifying regarding after the position taken by those groups that went astray, those who regarding Allah's plans, in fact they went over the top, or those ones to the right or to the left. Then he mentioned what's the correct position, which the correct position regarding, as he mentioned, away to Salaf al-Salih. Regarding concern of those matters regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we affirm them as mentioned by the book, as stated in the Quran, the Sunnah, without per se trying to explain them away or negate them, as others fell into or tried to equate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with His creation or vice versa. Then he mentioned regarding then of those ulama that we look to regarding these matters, which is to be able to identify, or the ulama that we truly look to. As they become an example, and we said, like I said, as also being a representative of Islam, based upon the method that they follow. So he mentioned regarding concern of the ulama that we can look at the example that he mentioned. Imam al-Hadith, he mentioned Abdullah bin Mubarak, Imam Malik, Al-Thawri, Sufyan al-Thawri, Awza'i, Imam Shafi, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Ishaq, Abu Ubaid, and these are like well-known, established of the Imam of Islam. Regarding that they represent Islam by way of having sound Aqidah, and most of these you'll find they have, if you were to check in certain books, most of them are books in Aqidah, small Risala. So you find that most of them have some type of Risala and matters relating to Aqidah. So they were known for their soundness in their Aqidah, and also their method regarding how the approach of ilm, and also their application of that ilm, and also the application of their ilm. So they became a'imma, that to be followed. Tafaddal.
One will not find anything in the words of those mentioned above that bears resemblance to the words of the speculative theologians, mutakalimin, let alone the words of the philosophers. Indeed, this is not to be found in the words of anyone who has been censored or disparaged.
So I said, if those ulama that he mentioned regarding concerning Abdullah bin Mubarak, Imam Malik, Al-Thawri, Awza'i, Shafi, Ahmad, Ishaq, Abu Ubaid, that if those ulama didn't per se indulge in regarding concerning falsafa, matter regarding ilm al-kalam, then why should we? And they have reached that level of scholarship. If they have attained that level of scholarship where they become a'imma regarding their ilm, also a'imma regarding their action, then why we need to adopt things that they rejected regarding ilm al-kalam and the likes. Aywa. So it shows regarding concern the path of the Salaf, it's not needed for us to hold to this path. We don't need to adopt these new ways that people are trying to introduce to us. Aywa.
Abu Zur'a al-Razi said, whoever possesses knowledge, yet his knowledge is not refined, and as such requires speculative theology, kalam, to spread it, you should have nothing to do with him.
So to show the Salaf, so that's concerned the position of the Salaf. I've said that what is mentioned by Abu Zar al-Razi would be a common view taken by majority of the ulama of the Salaf on that matter. That concerning ilm al-kalam, there's no need. There's no need for ilm al-kalam and the likes. Aywa.
The rationalization of the people of opinion. From amongst the innovated sciences is that which has been introduced by the legal jurists belonging to the people of opinion, comprising rational principles and rules which govern the legal rules and regulation, not caring whether they conform to the sunnah or oppose it.
They usually mention Ahl al-Rahi, ma ahdathu fuqaha Ahl al-Rahi. Ahl al-Rahi, in most the books of the ulama, when they mention Ahl al-Rahi, they intend by this concerning what they refer to as the Ahnaf. They mean concern the Ahnaf, that the Ahnaf, they can somewhat to say the ulama, the Ahnaf, start from the Ahnaf, that they regarding concerning that indulge more compared to other ulama regarding al-Rahi, which is al-Qiyas. So use of Qiyas is more widespread amongst them compared to others. So they refer to as al-Rahi. And also for al-Rahi, against the other thing that, so of that, sometimes there are principles that is to be reviewed, under revision. So al-Rahi are usually the Ahnaf as they are referred to. Aywa.
The root basis of these principles may well be based upon interpretation of texts from the book and the sunnah. However, others oppose the interpretations employed. This was what the Imams of Islam rejected when they refuted the legal jurists amongst the people of opinion in Hijaz and Iraq. Indeed, they went to great lengths in censoring and refuting them.
So you find concern at the usul regarding even usul al-fiqh, regarding concerning approach that is used by, they have like the approaches that they have concerning that the approach in usul al-fiqh of the mutakallimun, which are referred to as they call it the Shafi'iyah, as they refer to that, which is, you find that the ulama of the Shafi'iyah or the Malikiyah, Shafi'iyah and the Hanabila, in usul al-fiqh, they are more similar. They more agree upon points in general compared to the Ahnaf. So the Ahnaf usually on the other side and them on the other side regarding ilm al-usul al-fiqh. So you find that in most a lot of masail you find that those three, they may have shared similar views compared to that of the Ahnaf. So you find that the contradiction or the difference between them and the Ahnaf, and sometimes become very heated. You find that the Ahnaf and the Shafi'iyah also used to be at edge with each other. We have books just both sides refuting each other. Just both sides refuting each other to the extent that reach a point where the Ahnaf and the Shafi'iyah regarding that they see marrying each other, a Hanafi marrying a Shafi'i as marrying Ahl al-Kitab. Allah Mustan. So it went to that level of, they will see them apply concern that you're like Ahl al-Kitab to us, but you're only because you're Shafi'i and he's Hanafi, you treat it out like that, and that's a level of concern of the madhab, when it kind of somewhat went to a different level. So that's concerning those matters. So you find that authentic in usul al-fiqh, that at times usul al-fiqh of those science with other science, that there's things within it that needs to be purged. I mentioned before that of the ulama who try to remove some of those things of mentioned in the books of usul al-fiqh and principle that serve no purpose and shouldn't be there. So you find of those concerning that the art of Qawati Adillah Sam'ani, that his book is considered to be a very book in usul al-fiqh, away from the unnecessary points. Also Ash-Shatibi, and Shatibi have two excellent books. One, Al-Ihtisam, that these will matter concerning Al-Bidah. And another book called Al-Muwafaqat. That's a book also that of Maqasid al-Tashri' and the likes. So a very important book in fiqh on a different approach. And also of contemporary Shinkiti, Muhammad Amin Shinkiti, also Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi in his book I'lam Muwaqqi'in, that they try to remove those unnecessary things that is mentioned in most of the popular books in the Usul al-Fiqh that really shouldn't be there. So the books of Ghazali, Juwayni, and the likes, and others, Al-Razi, and the likes, their books contain things that really there's no need for it. Aywa.
As for the Imams and legal jurists amongst the Ahlul Hadith, they followed any authentic hadith, provided that the hadith was acted upon by the companions and those who came after them, or at least by some of them.
Hey, so Ahl al-Hadith, who's intended by Ahl al-Hadith? So I mentioned here, وَأَمَّا أَئِمَّةِ وَالْفُقَهَاء Ahl al-Hadith. So you find that they classify some of the ulama of hadith as being the fuqaha Ahl al-Hadith. Now, so the fuqaha of Ahl al-Hadith would be the ulama that they're specialists in hadith, but also they have opinions in fiqh. So of those fuqaha al-hadith will be Imam Malik, Imam Shafi, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, also Bukhari, who is considered to be of the fuqaha of al-hadith. So he is known for being specialist in hadith, but also he has opinions in matters relating to fiqh, or of a saying and in matters of fiqh. And his Imam Muslim, Abu Dawood, At-Tirmidhi. So those are the ulama who are said to be fuqaha al-hadith, where they are specialists in hadith, but also they are said to be specialists in al-fiqh. That they have, that's in a sense was said, they have opinion, that's not that their opinions are recognized. That their opinions are recognized. But they are so they are considered to be that ulama of hadith, but also they have recognized opinion and madhab on matters relating to fiqh. So those ones are said to be fuqaha al-hadith. Then you have what they refer to, Ibn Hajar rahimahullah in the book Al-Nuqat, he mentioned regarding of the ulama of hadith that they are said to be muhaddith sarf. They refer to him as a muhaddith sarf. That no, he only deals, he become his area is only mainly relating to hadith and criticizing hadith and reading of hadith and knowing of the man. As for having opinions, fiqh opinion, is not known to have much, doesn't dwell much into that area. Clear what I'm saying? So you have ulama of hadith that they are mainly known that they criticize hadith, speak about hadith being authentic, not being authentic, the men of the hadith. As for fiqh opinions, they are not known to discuss those things a lot. Clear? So, for example, Abu Zur al-Razi, so he's known to be an imam in Jar wa Ta'dil and hadith. Also Uqayli ibn Adi. So most of them have books in the hadith that discuss about the men of hadith, great talking about hadith, but not per se fiqh related matters. With me? For example, was there like a discussion between the ulama or something they mentioned that the ulama of the Malikiyah, that they see, for example, Imam Ahmad as a muhaddith, not a muhaddith faqih. Understood? So, of the ulama of the Malikiyah, they see Ahmad ibn Hanbal. So say Ahmad ibn Hanbal, what? He has a madhab, isn't it? But, for example, Ibn Abdul Barr, Ibn Rushd, in their books in fiqh, they do not mention his opinion in fiqh-related matters because they see that he is not a faqih. They see him only as a muhaddith. So, for example, like the book that is used, like in certain institution, a book called Bidayah wa Nihaya, is a book in fiqh that discuss comparative fiqh between the madhahib, but it mainly mentions three madhahib and their opinions: Maliki, Shafi, Ahnaf, Maliki, wa Shafi'i. Ahmad ibn Hanbal is not mentioned that much. Few maybe cases, but his view is not considered to be, he doesn't see him or mention him as one of the fuqaha and his opinion relating to fiqh related matters. And you have others amongst that may, so you have those discussion. For example, in contemporary times, they have a discussion between someone said, for example, they say, Shaykh Albani. We know Shaykh Albani. They said he's a muhaddith, not a faqih. They say Shaykh Albani, in matters relating to hadith, that yes, his opinions are held and looked and considered to be an opinion of a muhaddith. As for his fiqh opinion, then it's not really looked at in the same way, because it's not considered to be a faqih. He's mainly, some see him as mainly as a muhaddith, not as a faqih, even though he has opinion, but are well known in matters relating to fiqh, but that's a view taken by some. With me? So they have that discussion. So said that of the ulama of hadith, those are said to be of the fuqaha al hadith, that they have mastered hadith, but also they have mastered fiqh, And also you have some who become more known, that they are known regarding discussion regarding hadith, not per se fiqh matters. For example, one of a giant in ilm al-hadith, al-Mizzi. So Hafiz al-Mizzi is considered to be in the 7th century one of the giants of hadith. The one who prayed for Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah in his janazah, over his janazah. But his opinion in hadith is a giant. But he's not known to have fiqh opinions. He has 2 books that come to be 2 cornerstones in ilm al-hadith from his time after. So he has 2 large books in a hadith, are considered to be 2 corner works in hadith. If you're in a hadith and don't have those books, have access to the books, then you don't know about hadith and science. But he's not known to have much views on fiqh related matters. So he may be classed as a muhaddith sarf. For example, our author here, who is Ibn Rajab, he said to be a muhaddith faqih. Now, so you find that approach or that classification of muhaddith and sarf or muhaddith faqih, or that's the matter that is there. Aywa.
As for those ahadith which the Salaf unanimously agreed to leave, it is not permissible to act by them, since they left acting by them because of their certain knowledge that they should not be enacted. Omar ibn Abdul Aziz said, "Take from opinion that which conforms to the practice of those who came before you, for they were more knowledgeable than you." As for the specific case where the hadith contradicted the practice of the inhabitants of Medina, Malik was of the opinion that the practice of the inhabitants of Medina should be adhered to, whereas the majority adhered to the hadith.
So if after the discussion regarding the ulama discussed regarding at times regarding the ikhtilaf or asbab ikhtilaf al-ulama, or of the reason why the ulama may disagree between themselves on certain matters. So they mentioned that at one, that regarding the case that they mentioned of Imam Malik rahimahullah, that Imam Malik that believe in the follow hadith, which is authentic. That's one of the cornerstone of his sources that is used, hadith. But Imam Malik rahimahullah, if he mentioned that if there's a hadith is authentic, but the practice of the people of Medina, Imam Malik was from, you understand, that didn't align with the hadith, then he takes the opinion of what? The practice of the people of Medina. For example, make it more clear. Which month we're in? No, not that month.
Shawwal.
Shawwal. So Shawwal, of the thing that comes after Ramadan. So after Ramadan you have what? The hadith of Shawwal regarding what?
Fasted 6 days.
6 days of fasting. Imam Malik rahimahullah at a part that didn't apply that, and so that is a sunnah. Because I said the people of Medina never practice it. It wasn't a common practice among the people of Medina regarding fasting 6 days of Shawwal. So he said, but there's a hadith. So he took the practice of the people of Medina and put aside the hadith, because he said that why the people of Medina, if this hadith was authentic and they are not applying it, why? And the people of Medina were just, as I said, Imam Malik, just a century after the Prophet ﷺ. So very close. So if those people are not applying it, must be a reason. So if they leave away applying a hadith, is for a reason. So he decide 6 days of Shawwal is not of a sunnah. It's not of a sunnah to be practiced. So sometimes you have those cases. So you have, for example, regarding a hadith may be authentic. As he mentioned, أما ما اتفق السلف على تركه فلا يجوز العمل به. If the Salaf agree upon not acting upon a hadith, then we should not act upon that hadith. So the Salaf, the hadith is authentic, but the ulama of the Salaf have agreed upon not applying that hadith, and we shouldn't apply it. Because the hadith may be from Bab al-Nasikh wal-Mansukh. The Bab was something was abrogated. You with me? So you have a hadith, the shahid, the point is, you may have a hadith authentic, but it's not known that the ulama applied. And there's a reason. And of those reasons could be the hadith is something which is authentic, but is mansukh, which is abrogated. So you find acts of salat that we don't apply to it, but the authentic hadith mention it. That the people used to speak in salat in the early days. So in the salat they would speak. But after a while that stopped. So we can't act upon when people said that have a hadith where the people who speak in salat, yes, that's correct, but that act has been abrogated. Siyam, we have things of siyam that were abrogated from what we practice today. So the person concerned, the faqih, have to know and to, regarding concerning, yes, the hadith may be authentic, but there's one, do not act upon that. For example, At-Tirmidhi rahimahullah, in his book Aljamaykee, at the end of the book, he has a book they call Ilal al-Saghir. So At-Tirmidhi rahimahullah, that he has a book called Ilal al-Saghir. And that Ilal al-Saghir, he discussed on certain points, but I think he mentioned, in the book that I've written, the main book, there are some hadith that the ulama do not act upon, but they are authentic. But they are mentioned. There's hadith that are authentic, but the ulama do not apply those hadiths. Then he started to mention a few of those hadiths. Now, so of the things that concern a person, the faqih, is understanding, is there hadith that may be authentic, but there's no applicate, that hadith is not applied. And there is a reason, but at least the person to kind of somewhat to be aware of those cases. So you have even books of hadith called An-Nasikh wal-Mansukh. So you have books of hadith called Nasikh wal-Mansukh, hadith that have been abrogated. So you know those cases where, yes, hadith is there, but those things that have been mentioned is not to be applied. Because this other hadith negates that hadith. Nam, aywa.
Debating about religion. From amongst the matters rejected by the Imams of the Salaf was argumentation and disputation about issues concerning the lawful and prohibited. This was not the way of the Imams of Islam. This was innovated later by the legal jurists of Kufa and Basra. For example, in their authoring works dealing with the differences amongst the Shafi'is and Hanafis, and then devoting a great deal of time and energy in discussion and argumentation as to which stances were correct. Matters went to such an extreme that this became the limit of their knowledge. It preoccupied them and distracted them from beneficial knowledge. All of this is from the newly invented matters.
So the author rahimahullah now discussing regarding of those things that to be mindful of. That regarding al-jidal, wal-khisam, wal-mirah, which refers to debating, arguing on matters of the deen. So the ulama rahimahullah have mentioned regarding concerning matters regarding al-jidal, debate and the likes, that there's debate that are said to be madhmum, that which is mamduh, that which is acceptable and that which is unacceptable. So in form of debates, they have debates that is said to be acceptable and unacceptable. And that is, we have covered that before. And he mentioned regarding concern of these debates that there's also, when debate to occur, there's rules and guidelines. So even have books about those things regarding concerning that munadhara, books regarding munadhara, what are the rules and regulation regarding those things, and on what points that one can have those discussion on those matters. But of the thing that he mentioned regarding concern that, that became a thing where people become overly involved in, of debates and going back and forth to the extent we find, as I mentioned before, between the Shafi and the Shafi and the Ahnaf, that they can have somewhat even have books refuting each other. So that today you can read and say it's a benefit, you can understand too, but it sometimes can go to a certain extent that is unacceptable. But of those things we find that people, especially in today, these things of debate and the khilaf that have occurred between the Muslim, that of those things that can contribute to these things, where the differences and the split and the quarrel between the Muslim, of those things that contribute to those things, that the one which is considered blameworthy type of differences. That I mentioned that ta'assub ila ara, that people start to become muta'assib. They can become very stern on their opinion. So he has an opinion and nothing can move him. Sometimes the person muta'assib to his opinion become very staunch upon his view, even though he hasn't researched the matter properly. And sometimes you can see this, that a person may be very stern, take a solid position, he's unshakable in his position, but he hasn't studied the matter properly. that if we were to, for example, most of those I've said as the example. You want an example?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Example. Even yesterday, you have those who, I said, especially again in our time, that matter regarding muqata'a iqtisadiyya, which is the matter regarding boycotting of the kuffar. Nam, and we know regarding concern to know that boycotting certain type of products that from the kuffar. Nam, is this halal or is this halal? Halal or haram? Nam, so you find that those who believe that is, they see that it's completely halal and must to be done, and want to fight that battle. And you have those who say it is haram, not to be done. Ask both sides, have you read a book on that topic? Ask both sides, have you read a book on that topic? Because the amount of book on that topic is not many. But have both sides, you have taken a position, have both of you read a book? Most that they will give you is a fatwa of someone who sometime of one sentence, that Shaykh may come to the conclusion it's not halal, or this one holds it's not haram, and he just give his opinion, his fatwa. But you, the person, is going to somewhat, the person who's going to advocate strongly against this. Did you study the matter properly? Put aside who's right and wrong. Have you studied the matter properly? And if you have, tell me which book you have studied the matter from. Give us the name of the book, your reference. If you ask them, have you studied? I believe most will say no. If you have studied, give us a reference, Khalaf, so we can see, or you come to your conclusion. So you find that, as I said, sometimes because the person from the onset, you have taken a position, because he sees it as, whatever the reason, you have come to the conclusion. He listened to one sheikh who said it's not okay or it's okay, and that's his sheikh, so khalas, he goes with it. Nam, but he has taken a position. You understand? But he himself has not studied the matter in depth to any degree. He hasn't studied more than 5 sentences on the matter. We're going to impose, we're going to force the people that this is the position and there's no other position. Or you come to that conclusion when you haven't studied the matter. So you have these things that something you find is masail that goes around, and you can tell that the person haven't, because number one, the amount of books on those matters are not many. So a lot of it is emotions and just blind following, because in my ear my sheikh said something, so I just run with it. But you per self who's going to champion that opinion, you understand, and which would debate people, is not based upon anything substantial other than the sheikh fatwa. But if they say, okay, give me a detailed explanation, what's the source? They cannot. And you find other cases like these. You find other cases like these. So I say sometimes, yes, the matter need to be looked at, but approach it correctly and properly.
Yeah, is the person blameworthy for trying to force it upon
Hey, for sure. Because the person said, he's said that ta'assub and it's jahl, really. Because he cannot explain his position by way of proper evidence. It's not based upon evidence, based upon, you're going to decide, this sheikh said that. Okay, jazakallah khair. What's his evidence? Is there an opposing view? And what's the evidence? And how you counteract that evidence? Because not everyone can just take a one-sentence answer. So you have to be prepared. Because I said, if you're going to be the one to champion that, then you have to champion it based upon ilm, where you have studied the matter. And you find these cases occur a lot. Aywa. So I said, of those things that lead people to fall into this type of, staunch, old to our opinion to a madhab, are ta'assub ila al-ara or ila al-ashkhas. They find that some of the masala that are being discussed is not about the masala, it's about the sheikh. So something you find a person when he wants to debate the person, you understand that of the first thing he asks you, who's your mashaykh? When a person asks you, who's your mashaykh first, then don't have a discussion with them. Because the matter is not about the issue, it's about personalities. Who's your sheikh? So he wants to call you out, isn't it? To see, well, it just like, who's your sheikh? So he mentioned, if you cannot give him the name that he's accustomed to, as who he recognizes, then he's not going to recognize your opinion. So his argument is based upon, who's your sheikh? Who's your mashaykh? So that becomes difficult to deal with. So either going to say it becomes now your sheikh said this, my sheikh said this, I'm just going back and forth with sheikh calling names. And that's not dalil. Because every sheikh you mention, the person can mention someone opposite him. for both sides. You find him saying yes, and you might find someone saying no. And you can go back and forth with that until in many things. So that's not the issue at hand. Who's the sheikh that you follow? Now, when a person got asked, who's your sheikh? He's just trying to call you out. So if you don't mention the one that he approves of, then khalas. What you have to say have no value. Now, then you find concerns that no, so it says ta'assub ila al-madha'ib al-fiqhiyya, the person is Hanafi and only take from the Hanafi madhab and that's it, or I'm a Shafi, only listen to what the Shafi have to say, then that's also not helpful. That's not helpful. So you have these things that you understand, if it takes concern, you put the person in a narrow box. The person, those things, you put a person regarding looking at matters regarding halal and haram, which are serious matters, it put the person in a narrow box. Because your approach is not correct. Aywa.
The Salaf rejected this, and there is a hadith recorded in the Sunan concerning this, in which the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "A nation never went astray after being guided except by means of disputation." Then he recited the verse, "Ma darabuhu laka illa jadalan bal hum qawmun khasimun." They only say this to you for argument's sake. They are indeed a disputatious people.
So the mention regarding concern in this case regarding that al-jidal wal-khusuma in a sense of in a blameworthy context. But we are concerned that jidal debates become blameworthy when a person is not about trying to elevate the truth, but you just want to win over the argument. Now, so the person just wants the person to clarify the truth. So to clarify the truth doesn't mean that you have to agree with me. It just have conveyed the message, and that's the role of the what? The Anbiya. The Anbiya job wasn't to convince and force it down your throat. It's just to convey the message. Who accept? Alhamdulillah. Those who don't accept, that's on them. But meaning that on them, meaning the individual. Now, but after the Anbiya, he has delivered he has fulfilled his task, which is deliver the message. So jidal, when it goes kind of somewhat pear shape, they say in England, is when the person is about, I'm trying to win you over. I'm trying to find this convincing proof that you must accept. Not everyone might see your proof as convincing. You just need to just convey it. So in winning the argument, trying to force things down people's throat, now that's not present, then that becomes debate that is blameworthy. I must convey what my sheikh have to say, what my master have to say. Then that becomes where the person can somewhat start to deviate and becomes praiseworthy jidal when the person is just there to clarify the haqq. Whether you accept or not, khalas, he has done his responsibility. He has clarified, made things clear. If you have shubha, try his best to clarify, khalas, then he has done his responsibility. As for him to convince you, then that's something else. So that becomes praiseworthy because his job is to clarify the haqq, not to force it down people's throat. Aywa.
Some of the Salaf said, when Allah desires good for His servant, He opens for him the door of action. When Allah desires evil for the servant, He locks the door to action and opens instead the door of disputation.
And that's the correct sahih. That's what the people said, if you look online, you understand, them said, that Muslims said, Allah mustan, famous individuals online that I was prayed with one famous person online, that these ones have like millions of views, and the person was praying and my heart was shaking. I thought it was a child praying, and this person is popular, and I'm thinking, is the grown man praying like a child? And when a child prays, you feel uncomfortable, and that's what I felt. This is a grown person who's known. I'm thinking, subhanallah. I was shocked. And it occurred to me with more than one individual who are famous online when I saw them pray, because they prayed beside me or one person away from me. And I couldn't believe it. And then at that point I said, no, those people, I have nothing to do with them. Because you can't pray properly, but you have so much mouth. Allah mustaan. And that sometimes they lose focus. They lose focus. Some said, no, after thing I want to say, no, do not in trying to save everyone, lose yourself. You're trying to save everyone and forget about yourself. You yourself, the thing that you're trying to call people to, you yourself doesn't even have those things in place. Salah, you're out there calling people to Islam and you're praying like a child. You're praying like a child. So you haven't per se, so you put some emphasis, put some time in yourself. And that's by learning those things that we need to know. And after that concerning knowing of those acts that we should be involved in and try to fulfill them, not trying to convey a message when we ourselves is not a good representative of it. With that, inshallah ta'ala, we'll end here. وَبِاللَّهِ تَعَالَى تَوْفِيقٌ وَآتِنَا السَّبِيلَ وَالْآخِرُ الْحَمْدُ